Hey everybody, it's me, Comic Crack. So this is it. I got my replacement of Inner City Romance on Tuesday. I'm filming this, it's Thursday. So we'll get this out of the way. Fuck Amazon. They sent my replacement, so I get the first issue. If you saw my little teaser there, or I get my first shipment of this book, and the whole corner is all bent, and it's been sent in a bubble mailer without any sort of cardboard to sandwich it or anything, any sort of protection. So I filled out the online form that basically you can tell them what you thought of the packaging, and I told them how poor it was. It gives you a chance to do a little write-up. I did a write-up, then I called, I filled out my phone number on a separate page to have them call me so we could work out a replacement. They called me. All of that went smoothly, but I was surprised to see that when they sent the replacement, they sent it in a bubble mailer, exactly the same kind that they had sent before. Now, is it flawless? No. I mean, there's a little ding here and there's a little ding here. Is it the end of the world and I'm going to send it back? No, it's not horrible by any stretch. I'm completely fine with it. That said, though, I know why I don't use Amazon that much. I prefer to use Indigo Chapters, or my first choice for buying books is, of course, going to McNally Robinson here in Winnipeg, which is a local bookstore. I think there's also one in Regina. If they don't have it, then I go to Chapters Indigo, and if they don't have it there, I can usually order it through Chapters. In this specific instance, it wasn't available through any of those outlets, and to order it straight from Fantagraphics, the cost of the book plus a little bit more than the cost of the book for shipping really didn't make it worthwhile. Amazon had free shipping. The price was right about the same as the cover price, if I remember. $24.99. It might have been $1 or $2 less. I can't remember, but it wasn't far off of that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, enough to say about that. That's enough. I think you get the point. So, what's the book? The book itself is amazing. The one thing that I was looking forward to the most was a little write-up on Guy Caldwell himself, and this little intro running you through his life and how he got into comics, and about the time that he did in on a prison farm is basically what it was. He started off as a painter, and he went to this prison farm because he was a conscientious objector to the war, and I believe mailed back in his draft card, and did, I think, 2 years at this prison farm, which was really, it wasn't a hardcore prison by any stretch. It wasn't a fenced-in property. It was on an island, but you could still kind of roam around as he did, which led him to get into trouble in prison as well. But by no means was this a maximum security type prison where he was shoulder to shoulder with mass murderers and that sort of thing. When he came out of prison, his life there had kind of influenced, obviously. Again, he talks about this prison experience as it wasn't that whites only stayed with whites, blacks only stayed with blacks, etc. People didn't rub shoulders as much, but it was by no means something that was looked down upon. I mean, you might be called names and things like that, but if you were a white guy associated with black guys and vice versa, nothing violent was going to happen. So he mixed with a lot of inmates, and when he left, when he left prison, he eventually ran into a guy in his neighborhood who had done time in the same prison farm as he had, this black fella that he befriended. and this guy was into all sorts of drugs and gang activity and that sort of thing, and that became his kind of ticket into this world that he previously had no exposure to. He says in the article at the beginning that he didn't participate in any of the drugs or the prostitution and that sort of thing, but he hung around with these people and just kind of lived the life with them and saw the kind of day-to-day existence of some of these inner city people, black and white, and that really influenced his first issue here. It influenced the first few issues, but especially once he discovered underground comics and these artists that were doing stuff, which he did discover when he was in prison, Spain Rodriguez being a big influence and a favorite of a lot of the inmates with his trash man character. He kind of wanted to get into this world and figured, hey, what the hell, if they can do it, I can totally do it. So he pieced together this first story called Choices, which is it's a really great story. For the first 3 issues, I think he said he was hand painting the strips, because he still wanted to feel like he was a painter instead of like a cartoonist or that sort of thing. It's a really great story about 3 friends that get out of jail, and 2 of them kind of want to just head back into the life that they led that got them into jail, and the third one is he's up in the air of what he wants to do. He has this kind of militant view of things about how he wants to help his people in their struggle, and the other 2 just say, let's just go get high, let's go get us some women, and let's just party, which is exactly what happens, as you can see here. Leading through the story, we just kind of go character to character, lots of sex, lots of drug use, and even Colwell himself says that at the time his use of sex was very liberating, as it was in a lot of these comics, that the fact that sex was talked about openly and drawn and really graphic was almost a rebellion in itself, because you didn't see things like that, and this was against the status quo. He also says that he wonders if he didn't have as much sex in this as he did, if Last Gasp would have picked him up to begin with. I like to think that they would have regardless, because the stories themselves and the art itself is really fantastic. Colwell does say that he experimented with some acid, which you can see in these few pages that we just flipped through. One of the characters is on acid and having sex, or at least trying to focus on having sex, and he kind of enters this world where he starts looking at this plant in the room and just kind of goes deeper and deeper. And Colwell himself says that this was him experimenting with the storytelling form in comic strips to really slow down time, which he then used later in issue number 3, I believe, which we'll kind of have a quick look at. I won't show you every single story in here. I just wanted to give you a quick overview. So we move through all of this, and at the very end, I don't want to spoil it, our third character, whose name is escaping me, James, let me just see here without spoiling the ending. Yes, James. Our third character, James, has gotten together with a militant woman who's kind of talking to him about his responsibility as their friend to change them or make some changes himself, which leads him down this path. So like I said, I don't want to spoil the end of it. We will just skip past, and as I'm kind of talking about the rest, I'll just flip through. So the reproduction is really great. I mean, it's like any of these collected works, be it Underground or Marvel or DC or something. You're getting a really cleaned up version. It's on pristine white pages, that sort of thing. It's really great to see his artwork or his art develop and just kind of change throughout these issues. That said, the comics that I do have, the fact that they're on this off-white pages, they're a little beaten up, really do add something to these stories. I'll flip to the issue that I have. Here's the issue that I have that I did the video on. Yeah, so Inner City Romance number 3 from 1977. You can see already it's nice to see a cleaned up image. There's no doubt about it. But I honestly do think it loses something when it's on these nice crisp white pages. But it's still impactful nonetheless. And reading through this is still my favorite issue out of all of the issues. It really is an absolute standout in storytelling, in his art. It really seems to have, for his comic work that I've experienced anyway, I know that there's more out there, this to me really seems to be the pinnacle of his comic work that I've experienced so far. He's done a lot of other short stories for both newspapers and for some underground comics, but I don't know, man, this one just really blows me away. Even reading it again, it's a really, really great piece of work. Yeah, I mean, just the fact that within one comic he can touch on all these topics, and not that they're not all serious, but I mean, to end the whole issue on basically talking about prison rape is just epic. It's really, really impressive. Yeah, hands down my favorite issue. And if I was to tell anybody to, obviously I'd say if you can find the collection, buy the collection. It's really worth it. But if you just buy one of the issues, I'd say hunt for issue number 3. It's really impressive stuff. And then we have issue 4 that I have, and we'll flip through this as well. And then finally his 5th issue, which I haven't read this issue yet. In reading about it online, a lot of people say that it's a little more disjointed than previous because of the nature of the storytelling and how it kind of jumps from story to story. It feels a little haphazard. Like I said, I haven't read it yet, so we'll see how it goes. But and you can see again a change in his style a little bit there too. I really, really like his artwork. I'm just surprised that I haven't come across him earlier in my underground reading. Then of course, once you see somebody's name, I see it all over the place. He did end up working for Rip-Off Press for quite a while, and I've got Adventures of Fat Freddy's Cat, where he does, or maybe it was just Fat Freddy's Comics and Stories, I can't remember, where he does a little short strip in there with Fat Freddy. And then in later issues of the Freak Brothers, he's in charge of color separation and other various tasks at Rip-Off Press to get comics ready for the printing process. And then finally at the end, another chunk I haven't read yet. This is just talking about his paintings and giving plenty of really beautiful examples of his work. So there you go. Inner City Romance, Guy Caldwell. Hunt it down if you can. I wouldn't hesitate picking it up. And as I said, if you can find issue number 3, highly, highly, highly recommended. It's one of the, I know I've said this a million times, but out of all the underground comics I've picked up lately, it's far and beyond my favorite out of all of them so far. Now, obviously I haven't read them all, but it really just stands head and shoulders above the rest for me. Really impressive work, and a guy to search out in my future. And if anybody else is interested, I'd say dig for Guy Caldwell. Okay, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you.